That was a lot. There was a lot of ideation for what is virtually no time. And speaking of no time, I'm going to whiz through a few key things in literally 5 minutes so we can get back on track. We thought we'd share with you a few essential tips, which I think is just really sound advice for anybody who's working digital, but also because we get asked this every day now, a little bit on some of the AI tools that everybody's kind of keen to know what's interesting to use and what people have had different experiences of. We did an event in Valencia recently, and we spent a whole day just opening up the computer and saying, what are you using, how are you using it, and experimenting. So it's a lot of fun. One of the things that we use in our team is a tool called Asana, but there are a lot of collaborative project tools that exist today. The reason I always champion Asana is because it's actually free for up to 15 users. So small businesses can find this really, really transformative in how they collaborate with each other. And this is more and more the case when you've got 7, 8, 9 people all working in different locations or all remotely. Because having a plan, as we've talked about this a lot today, having a plan, knowing what you're working towards, and setting out all the steps there are the keys to developing an agile method of working as a team. And agile is a term that's used a lot in the tech space, but it doesn't need to be a barrier or some kind of project management skill that seems that you need to have specialist training to overcome. It's also about a mindset of working collaboratively, transparently, creating a more conversational way of working together, but also creating structure and having that ability to check in and support each other. So we set out all of our projects here, and then within each project, we set out all the steps that we need to achieve. And then within each of those, we summarize what we need to do or how we need to do it. So we're really detailed, and detail is annoying, but the more detailed you approach something, the more successful or the more likely you are to work towards the intended outcome rather than have a lot of miscommunication. And it's also very conversational. So every single thing anybody does, there's a mini conversation on it. And it might even be choosing video A or B. You might have 3 opinions, and you can collect those. So finding digital tools that help you collaborate better, this is only one. There's a lot of great tools. A lot of teams use Slack, for example, are really key to being able to make sure that even if you are remote or hybrid working, you're keeping a really, really constant flow of communication all the time. And there's total transparency on that. So it's also about trying to remove this top-down hierarchy and create a much flatter team structure where everybody takes responsibility, and if something is falling short within a process, another person is strong and multidisciplined enough to jump in and help bring that up. So this is really key to being having a high level of productivity and being able to work at sometimes the speed that this digital world is demanding of us. We thought we'd put this up in again because we just had a little look at some of the key things that work. So this is very informal, but as you're experimenting with especially Gen Z-friendly social content, think about how you can have fun with it. Identify trends early. So one of the things you will probably all have noticed is soundtrack trends. And there's hundreds of apps out there that help you identify soundtracks or backing tracks which are early trending. And if you make content over the top of those, that increases your chance of having that content shareable. So it's really worth taking maybe a day to explore the many different apps and tools that exist that help you also create more relevant or content that's more on trend on social. And also, I think one of the examples from the STEM and Glory was about learning. I think this is something that every single business, no matter how good or bad you are on social, can perhaps relate to best. How can I show others what we do and why what we do is unique, whether it's what we cook, what we make. One of the best, there's a few good examples of hotels that have shared how to make the perfect hotel bed. I mean, it's really annoying every time you go to a hotel and it's like crisp and it's tucked in and it's tight and you're just wondering, how do they do this? Because when I take the sheets out of the washing, they're wrinkled. You kind of try to drag them around the edge of the mattress, and nothing quite looks like that. So people love to get these like little life cheat sheets, and you're all in different situations where you can actually share those little tips and those little ideas. It doesn't need to be professional. It actually needs to be real. It needs to be you. So what I always say is treat it like a video call to a friend. You're making a FaceTime to a friend and you're showing them all your tips and tricks and you're just taking them through that, but they've only got a minute, so try to do it as quick as possible or try to cut the 5 steps to doing that into really short segments. And then think about all the stories and set them all out. And find the times when you have that low point in the business, that quiet point. We don't need that. that low or quiet point in the business where you can create these pieces of content. There's also a lot of cheat tools, which I have to be honest, I hate, and I've been I've been one of the strongest people to tell my employees and teams, I do not want to see you using this, and I've now given in because I've realized I'm fighting a losing battle. Grammarly was the first, but now we tell everybody to have Grammarly because there's nothing worse than poor grammar. But also tools like Copy AI allow you to put in a topic to say what you want. So I want a LinkedIn post, prompt that, and get a whole set of social media snippets already drafted for you. And actually, ironically, using these tools effectively then becomes the skill that you have to master, because using them the first time, you maybe won't get something very good. But when you become professional at asking for what you want, you can get really good content. And these can be really huge time savers. To give you an example, for a bit of fun, we opened a co-working business as part of our office. And now we create blog content for SEO. I don't have enough data to tell you if it performs well, but we now created a whole series of articles about life-work balance, how to have a great workspace in the city of Canterbury, workspace trends. And we did this in probably under 10 minutes. We created about 8 blog posts. So content is key for SEO. And then whether this performs, that's a different question. This is where you have to learn and see. But there's a lot of great tools which could really represent shortcuts and time savers in busy businesses. And you've got to get smart at using these. You've probably okay, maybe do this differently. Who in the room has used or tried ChatGPT? Interesting. It seems that this side of the room kind of thing. So not quite 50%. Well, anybody can sign up. Google also have Google Bard, which I personally think is actually quite good. And you can ask it anything. And my prediction is this will replace search. Because when you use Google Bard and you ask a question, it gives you the very, very well-structured answers. And then it says, couldn't find what you're looking for, Google it. So it clearly thinks that Googling it is a last case scenario. And so if you think about search engines maybe not really existing or being relevant in the future, that's a big game changer for also how we might be present. This was the example we shared earlier. But you can, for example, ask it to produce a template for a sustainability strategy for a hotel business or anything else for that matter. The key thing to using any of these tools is to have the strategic ability to assess what you're asking and what you're getting back, and to not take anything as it comes. Because the trick is to tweaking, to mastering it, and also to be able to dismiss it and say, no, this is not good. And to also bear in mind that nobody knows the sources of the content that it's analyzing to give you that answer. So also a massive amount of trepidation. But it's an area that's changing and improving all the time. At our last event, we were looking at Midjourney, and this is somebody who works for a destination in the Netherlands actually created this with a tool called Midjourney, and it's to activate children and families to go to Terschelling in the Netherlands and to experience this incredible night's view, where it's a spectacular place because it's got no light pollution at all, to see the night sky. And she created, again in minutes, a whole series of really inspirational images to use in marketing content to promote this. So sometimes we don't have the skills or even the creativity to produce something. And again, increasingly, there's a growing set of AI tools which perhaps fill gaps that we have within our teams that can produce things. And this is another example. That was the prompt, so a very detailed prompt, so a very detailed request. And this was an image, completely fake, by the way. And it's an image showing a particular scene that was requested and creating an almost fantasy-like image that also seems really real. Well, I don't have time to go through everything, so here's the cheat sheet. There's a website called There's an AI for That. You definitely want to take a picture of that. And if you want to kind of explore more, and they've got reviews and opinions on what's good and trending things, you can have a look at that, and there's literally thousands and thousands of AI tools. So, and the other thing is maybe plan the time you waste on this, because as you were saying on that table there, you don't have enough time. So the next thing is losing time trying to understand what's out there. But you've got tools that will write a strategy, or prepare a slide deck, or create a movie, or translate all of your content and then create audio versions of that. I mean, it's almost infinite. So the options when it comes to this space come down to your creativity, but you also need to always keep in mind that judgment. And I think the last point here is, to have a plan. So at the beginning, I mentioned creating an agile work environment where you can be highly productive and collaborative. But the other side to that, and it might all exist in the same space, is also knowing when you want to actively engage. So having an always-on content plan, it's not a new concept, but still most don't really do it. And looking throughout the year and identifying the days that you want to actively engage in. So we did a whole thing on Earth Day where we celebrated what our members were doing related to sustainability. For us, that was an opportunity. You might do a live event, or you might do a live stream performance, for example. But this helps you get a bit of focus and also tap into other audiences that are talking about that online. We can share with you our calendar, if you ask nicely. And there's also lots of calendars out there. So many of the social media tools actually create calendars that you can subscribe to that give you lots of days. So this just helps you be a bit more focused and a bit clearer about all those opportunities that exist throughout the year that you want to tap into. Okay, so on that note, we've finished the ideation, and I'm very pleased to welcome James Berzins, Managing Director of TXGB. I think it needs no introduction, but if it does, you will definitely be able to explain what TXGB is about and bring people up to speed on the latest developments. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So yeah, I'm James. I'm from TXGB. I don't know how many have heard about TXGB, but hopefully you'll all know what it is by the end of this talk. So that's really what I'm here today, just to give you a broad brush update on what we are, what we're doing, how we're working with Tourism Northern Ireland, and the progress that we're making. So we've partnered with Tourism Northern Ireland to look at how we can unlock the full potential of the visitor economy. And that's all about harnessing the power of digital, bringing together the community of businesses so that we can be more bookable and more discoverable online and work in tandem together. This is really following on from work that we've been doing with Visit Britain. So we started our TXGB journey over in England with Visit Britain, and we've now expanded into Northern Ireland, and we're working with Visit Wales as well. So it's a really good example of how we can bring all the different national tourism authorities together to work on a single strategy for digital enablement, for bookability. And this also follows on from work that's been undertaken around the world. So the tourism exchange concept started in Australia, and Britain really showed how we can take that concept and take it around the world. And since we've launched TXGB, we've seen Tourism Exchange Japan launch, and they're just launching in the US at the moment as well. So the overall concept of how the Tourism Exchange works has really started to take hold around the world. We've worked with lots and lots of different businesses across the whole of the UK. So I would say, many thousands of individual suppliers across different parts of the sector, lots of different destinations at different levels. So everything from national tourism authorities right down to hyper-local tourism boards. We've enabled lots of new routes to market, and that's a really key sort of aspect of Tourism Exchange, how we can bring more channels and widen that reach to more consumers. We powered destination marketing campaigns and made them bookable so that they focus on actually driving a return for businesses rather than purely looking at inspiring visitors. In the time that we've been live, we've generated millions of pounds of bookings for people on the platform, and we can also capture that insight from every booking and provide that to authorities so they can make their campaigns smarter and we can manage destinations in a much more sustainable way, which is obviously really important for the sector as a whole. So overall, our goal is to increase the range and reach of bookable product. We want to make sure that we can increase the value, volume and dispersal of tourism, recognising that that's hugely important when it comes to hitting our sustainability goals, so regional, seasonal dispersal by working in a smarter way and tapping into digital distribution. Making sure that we've got a comprehensive view of the visitors and the bookings, where they're booking, how they're booking, the habits that consumers have, so we're smarter as an industry. And those insights can be derived for individual businesses looking at their own bookings, for channels that work with us, but also destinations, so they can see that bird's eye view of what's happening in their area. And then finally, build an ecosystem of collaborators. We want to make sure that people can work together. If they've got an idea that they want to take to market and they want to make it bookable, then there's a platform that can help them do that in a slick and easy way. So the first thing, before I kind of give you the sort of broader overview of how the platform works, is we work with all parts of the sector, and that's quite unique for a technology business. Most technology companies work with sort of individual verticals and actually sub-verticals, like say self-catering within the accommodation space. We work across accommodation, attractions, tours, events, and we're looking at how we can bring in transport, restaurants and retail into that mix to make everything as bookable as possible. And this is a bit of a diagram that explains where TXGB sits. We see ourselves right in the middle of the sector, trying to connect all the other parts, all the other groups of businesses. So tourism businesses that have a product to take to market, visitors, obviously, on the other side of the spectrum that want to actually book a product and experience a place, and everything in between. So the systems that businesses use, the booking channels that people book through, and the destinations that form an important part of the overall visitor experience. For visitors, we recognise that they want to make bookings, they want to get book online, they want to have that bookability of product. And for tourism businesses, they want to make sure that it's simple to access and that they can get access to the market very easily. In the middle, businesses that have that operate booking systems and provide those to the market, they want to make sure that their system's connected. And for booking channels, they want to make sure that they can get access to the inventory. And finally, destinations, they want to be smarter, they want to have access to data, they want to make sure that they can make their local visitor economy as bookable and online as possible. And this is a board of logos that shows just how many businesses we're working with right now. And in the short space of time, we launched in 2019. We've obviously all experienced the pandemic, but in that time, we have worked with an awful lot of different businesses from all different parts of the sector. So you'll see on here, booking systems, ticketing systems, different destinations, lots of different booking channels, suppliers that you would recognise, so people like Titanic Belfast, but other large suppliers across the UK that are all coming together and working with the platform. And one of the reasons that we're able to work with so many different businesses is that we have different unique tools for different businesses. So one of the tools that we talk a lot about is our direct payment technology, which enables channels to come to market to list products for people in their membership or in their area and make sure that drives direct bookings in a way that can earn them a commission for having that channel and for marketing that content. It means that individual suppliers are getting bookings directly. It means that they're building that relationship with their customer. It means that they're getting access to data. It's better for cash flow. So there are ways in which we can automate that process and make it much easier for businesses. And in fact, destination, so DNI's website is now bookable online using that technology, and we're working with a load of businesses to get them bookable, make sure they're part of national campaigns, and as I said before, trying to drive lookers to bookers, making sure that the campaigns that are sponsored by Tourism Northern Ireland are bookable. Here's a short video to show how this is working on Visit Derry. So the team over here we've just been working with quite recently and starting to get some products live. So you'll see here, I'll stand over here, out of the way. Very, very easy, get to the product, quite intuitive to book, and all this is seamlessly integrated into a payment gateway. And at point of payment, on this particular website, the consumer will pay the business directly. So money doesn't go to Visit Derry, it goes to you, it's in your bank, and therefore you've got access to that customer straight away. You've got the opportunity to upsell if that's the sort of thing that you do with direct business, and go from there. So fundamentally, we believe that if we can find better ways to connect and collaborate, we're going to have a more successful sector, and the sector as a whole is much greater than the sum of its parts. That's kind of a core principle, and that's our focus, bringing people together, making sure that we're driving these connections with bookings, with sharing knowledge, with building partnerships. We're looking at how we can bring supply chain into the marketplace and really create this community of businesses working together. We've had some really good success stories in our relatively short life. We've worked on large campaigns with Visit Britain, Visit England. We're working on some campaigns with Tourism Northern Ireland. We're currently working with the National Lottery on a new campaign for the summer for visitor attractions, so that will be a really exciting campaign that's coming up. We've worked with large sporting events, small events, so we worked with people like Rugby League World Cup. We're working with the World Snooker Tour, and how can we make those events more bookable? How can we get people to really tap into everything that that destination has to offer, all the different experiences? If you're going to a game, how do we make sure that the visitor stays longer and does more whilst they're there? And we've made an awful lot of connections. So I mentioned our key challenge whenever something new crops up is actually building the connectivity to make that happen. So connecting with people that are creating digital guest books or creating AR experiences so that we can integrate bookability into those tools. So tourism businesses often have a couple of questions when they're looking to connect, and they're answered by, kind of looking at these kind of key reasons for people to connect. So first thing is, most people want to reach more customers and do that with as little admin as possible. We recognise that historically reaching more customers has meant maybe managing multiple diaries or working with various systems. We're here to really try and centralise that and make it easier. Most people want to support their destination because the destination makes a core part of their product. If you're a hotel, if you're an experience, being seen and being part of that destination and their marketing is really important. Increasing direct bookings, whether that's on your own website, in your app, in a social channel, or with direct booking channels, is also really important because it means that quite often you can save on commission, you can get better cash flow from those bookings. And then once you understand those benefits, the fact that it's easy to join, we support all of our users intensely so that they're supported on the onboarding journey. It's free to connect. We do charge as bookings come through, so we have a charge for bookings through the marketplace, but there's no obligation, and we do make sure that we support, like I say, businesses for free and getting everything set up. And it's really easy to manage. Most people don't spend an awful lot of time within TXGB once they've actually opted into channels that they want to work with. Quite often, because we're connected to their booking system, they won't even really know that we're there. We're just helping them gain that extra reach. And we've got a couple of really good case studies just to talk through. First one is Ryan from Letter and Lodges. The best way to describe this is by watching the video, so I'll just play this now for you.
Letter and Lodge is located in Lisson, County Derry, at the foot of Sleeve Gallion Mountain. We're halfway between Belfast and Derry, and guests come here to take in the panoramic views of 5 neighbouring counties. Customers really enjoy watching the sunrise from the comfort of their own bed here. They can enjoy their own private hot tub. We also offer all the amenities for self-catering lodge, or they can go explore local areas like the Observatory, Lisson House, Loch Fay, just to name a couple of local favourites here. Prior to using TXGB system, we managed all our bookings manually. We would get up to 100 messages per day. It was totally overwhelming, so we knew we had to change and find an online platform that could solve all these issues for us. Tourism Northern Ireland then introduced us to the TXGB team. The TXGB team were extremely helpful, and it only took a matter of hours to set up the system for Letter and Lodges. So it was with minimal effort and stress. They were there every step of the way to help us. Customers want to view real-time availability, and the TXGB system allows for that. It's user-friendly for me as well, so I'm fit to operate it as a user and as a business owner who's never used a booking system before. One of the major benefits for us was the amount of errors that it reduced in administration, so I no longer had to worry about managing bookings day to day. That is totally automated by using the TXGB system. It allowed me to focus on the business and customer service and business development. I would 100% recommend the TXGB system to other businesses. 100% of our bookings has been via the TXGB over the last 10 months, and we simply couldn't operate without it.
So Letter and Lodge is a really good example of a business that has an absolutely amazing product, but they weren't really tapping into digital, they weren't really getting themselves online and making sure that product is online bookable and distributed. So as you can see, we help them through that process. We guided, I think they're not necessarily from a tourism background, so this is a new venture, something that we're really trying to get their familiarity with the sector with, and therefore, you know, by helping them just make those sort of baby steps by getting online, the amount of bookings that these guys have had is absolutely phenomenal. And they're a really good case study for a self-catering business, but also for Northern Ireland. But we've got examples like that across all different parts of the sector. So, you know, a company like Avalon Lodges in Cornwall, an independent tour guide in Bath. We've also got Titanic Belfast, and a nice thing there that Claire said about us. You know, again, accommodation, sort of museums and that whole culture sector, and everything through to RHS. So we've got lots of different types of products using the platform, lots of different size of business, whether you're a micro business just starting out or whether you're established and, you know, a large visitor attraction or a large hotel. Everyone's welcome and everyone can get some value from the platform. So the last thing to say is I'm here today to help answer any questions. I'll be milling around and having a cup of coffee. But also, you know, if you have to shoot off, our team are here to help. We're always around, and there is a dedicated link there for businesses in Northern Ireland if you're interested and want to take things further and maybe get set up.
Thank you so much. That I think it's very self-explanatory, but I can tell you, having worked with many destinations throughout the UK and Ireland, but also throughout other parts of the world. So you mentioned some of those international cases there. This is a really transformative technology, initiative, and platform, and it's really important to get distributed, get connected, and get product out there so that people can discover it in the many platforms that we might not even be aware of. So thank you very much. And on that note, we reached the end, but I'm going to invite Carolyn Boyd to come back and offer us some closing wisdom. So over to you.
Wisdom, a bit of pressure and wisdom. Listen, I've just got 2 jobs now, just to really update on what's coming up in the rest of the programme. We are, it's a strange time for us because you're coming into season in terms of when we're hoping to get our maximum visitors, but there's also so much to learn, and today's been quite overwhelming in terms of all the stuff that we've covered. We will, however, be focusing still on our people. We have done some work on staffing and careers in our industry, which we know is an issue for probably everyone in the room. And we launched a Make It Here campaign trying to attract people to our industry, and we will continue to champion the people. We'll also, we have researched the minute into a new e-learning platform because we know everybody digests and learns differently, so we'll be investing and piloting that, and I might be calling on some help to test that as we go, which would be great. Everything is on tni.com, and we've got so much assets there that we just really invite you to engage in all of that. And the main thing, I suppose, as well, is we've got a great media library. I know this is where we're talking a lot of asset. We have a media library on TNI, which is probably underutilised, where we have a lot of video and a lot of footage. And just thinking today, if you're trying to look at some of your own work, you might be well to go in there and try to download some of the fantastic stuff and that investment that we've made over the years. So I'd just like to thank everybody. I just want to say, James, thanks for flying in from Leeds, and I know you're not running away, so if anybody wants to have a conversation about TXGB, you're here. I think we've been around the world today. I feel a wee bit exhausted. So Nick, obviously you took us, well, everywhere, I think, in the global journey. We were in Canada and Switzerland, and I know Anna's gone. I didn't really get to meet Anna. Has she flown back to Norway, or is she? Oh, to Denmark, okay. So I think we've been in, oh, Manchester. So thank you for that. Claire, you took us kind of into the past. I can't actually believe it's 10 years since, you know, Titanic Belfast was born. And so you took us into the past and kind of back again, which was great. Of course, you can't really beat Niall, who took us into space, and good luck with Hanoi, which is the next trip. And obviously, you know, to Ronan, who's taken us into we were in the sea and the air on a boat and all the rest of it. So I do feel as if we've been around the world in 80 days. We are going to move into lunch, but just finally to thank everybody here and all the participation. It's been great, everyone online. And I think the hybrid model is really working for us, where people can dial in and can be here in person. They do miss a lovely lunch, which we're going to invite you to now. And just thank you for everybody for coming along, and obviously my own team and our millenniums at the back who keep us right in everything we do and challenge us on a daily basis. So thank you. And Sir Barry and the team for Eventful for making it all happen and making sure all the technology works. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again. Thank you.